Hey there, my name is Brashler, and in this video, I want to teach you about the Waves CLA-2A compressor. Now, this is a classic compressor modeled after the LA-2A limiting amplifier. Now, this is a classic compressor that is used on so many vocals and albums that we listen to all the time. Now, Waves has taken this plugin and modeled it after a very good sounding compressor and put it into a plugin form for us, and it is SoundGrid compatible and native compatible, just like the CLA-76. And in this video, I want to teach you about using it after the CLA-76, and I have some reasons why. But the CLA-2A is an optical compressor, so it is a little bit more smooth of a compressor, so it's a little bit more musical. Now, in comparison to a FET style compressor like the CLA-76, the CLA-2A is going to be a slower response and slower release. So attack is slower, release is slower. And it just has this really nice character to it. And so for you that are mixing vocals that are more of a jazz style or a ballad style that's a little bit more laid back, an optical style compressor is going to be your key compressor that you should be looking for compressing your vocals on something that's a little bit more laid back. If you need that rock style compression that's straight in your face for your vocal, then the 76 is going to be the one that you want. But putting the CLA-2A after the 76 is one of my favorite things to do to just round out the vocal just a little bit more. And so let's go ahead and see what the CLA-2A is all about here. Now, I have it pulled up on a vocal already, but if you want to insert it, all you'd have to do is go to Add Plugin, Plugin List, Dynamics, go to your second layer here, and then we have the CLA-2A. Now, when we pull this up, there are a couple of different adjustments that we have here. So we have a compression and limiting switch. Now, the difference between this is going to be changing your ratio. And so the compression ratio is going to be about 3:1, and then the limiting ratio is going to be about 10:1. Now, then we have a gain knob, a peak reduction knob. We also have a display for input and output gain, or our gain reduction, which is usually the way that I leave that. And then we have a couple adjustments on the bottom here. We have analog, which just like the CLA-76, the analog modeling only adds a subtle layer of noise and ground hum from either a 50 cycle for the British style sound or a 60 cycle for the US style sound. But it does not have any extra harmonics or character to the plugin. It just adds in a little base layer of noise. So I typically don't like noise in my mixes when I'm mixing live, and so I choose to leave this off. All of the character of this plugin is already in the plugin. So all the character of this compressor and harmonics and everything, all that good stuff is already in this compressor. So you don't have to turn on analog like you do on some other plugins. Then we have this high frequency versus flat adjustment. Now, this is basically a emphasis switch for the compression circuit to either de-emphasize the high frequency or listen to the full mix completely. Now, there's a subtle difference between the two, but you can have more high end through the compression by taking this and moving it to the high frequency or a lower number. Now, if you want to be compressing the entire frequency band, then we move it to flat. Now, this does not change the tonality of the compression. It just changes what the compressor is actually listening to for what it's going to be compressing. So it still compresses the whole channel. It's just if you have more high frequency content that you have that's maybe hitting this compressor a little bit more that you want, say a vocal that's very essy, or cymbals, and you're not wanting that to really hit the compressor, you're wanting to have more of a rounded sound over all of it, then you can go ahead and feather this back to the high frequency side. If you're wanting to adjust everything and have all frequencies impact the compressor at the same amount, then you want this to be on the flat side. For most times, I usually leave this straight up in the middle. And there is a slight difference between the two, and I'll go ahead and show that to you later. We also have a mix knob, which gives us the ability of doing a parallel style compression where we add in some of the unaffected signal with the compressed signal. So if we have this set to 50, we are blending an even amount of the uncompressed versus compressed signal together. And we can do that all within this one plugin. And then we also have a trim for adjusting the output gain either up or down. But that is also right here where we have our gain. Now the gain knob is after compression. So this is post compression. So the amount that you turn this up or down is not actually going to affect the amount of compression that this compressor is doing. The thing that is going to adjust it is our peak reduction. Now, this plugin, unlike the 76, where we have this input where we bring up the volume to the compressor circuit, we can actually adjust the threshold using this peak reduction. So if we want to have more compression, then we take this and we raise it. If we want to have less compression, then we take this and we lower it. And so that is our main setting for the compressor. However, I do want to mention the attack and release is fixed on this compressor. So the attack time is around 10 milliseconds, and then the release time is program dependent. So depending on the type of music and the type of channel and the type of things that are hitting that compression circuit, the compressor is going to be changing that algorithm for the release time to be program dependent, meaning the program is the sound of the channel that this is inserted on. So if it's hitting really, really hard, then the compression release time will change. And the release time will be really anywhere between about half a second to 5 seconds in length for that release time, depending on the type of program music that's hitting it. So keep that in mind. But the thing that I love about this is it's just so easy. You have really 3 adjustments: a compression or limiting for changing our ratio. We have our output gain and then our peak reduction, or the amount of compression that we want. So let's go ahead and listen to this vocal that I have, and I'm going to go ahead and uninsert this first.
Rest on me, come set me free. Rob the grave in me. Won't you set me free?
Okay, the one thing that I want you to listen to is when he's saying free. Now, he's a great vocalist. I love this vocal. And my 1176 video that I put out, or the CLA-76, was on this same vocal. So this is just taking this one step farther. So if you haven't checked out the 1176 or the CLA-76 video, make sure to go down in the description below, because I have that linked in the description, and it is a great video on learning how to set up that CLA-76 on a live vocal. Now, the CLA-2A is one thing that I take one step farther with that 76, is I use the 2A after the 76 to round out the louder portions that still kind of get through that first compression. Even though I have this 76 and it is set to 12:1 ratio, there's still some words that kind of come through and are a little bit louder. And so my method with mixing this is I put the faster compressor first to capture all the transients and all the spikes and all the volume differences in a live vocal. And then I use the CLA-2A after, because it is a slower release and slower attack time, to help round out that vocal. Now, I do see some people who put the 2A first, and in my opinion, that is the incorrect way of doing it, because you are wanting to take all of that live vocal, compress the dynamics that happen when you're singing a live vocal, and then the 2A is going to help round out that vocal a little bit more. If you put the 2A first, and I will show you this, what will happen is when there is a loud transient, the attack time is fine, but the release time will then cut out some of the words as it's releasing back up into not compression. Where if you have a fast attack and fast release compressor like the CLA-76, it's not going to have as much of an impact on the release side of things. So I will show that to you. It is this is my way that I choose to do this. So you can leave it in the comments down below if you think I'm wrong, but this is the way that I have done it for years. So let's actually listen to this thing. I'm going to go ahead and insert our 2A. And again, our peak reduction is set here of how much compression that we want to have. So if I take this all the way up, I'm adding in a ton of compression. If I take this down, I'm not going to be adding much compression here. So what's going to happen here is I'm aiming for about 1 to 2 dB of compression on this. So I'm going to keep adjusting this. About there. There it is.
'Cause you're still robbing me, rest on me, come set me free.
Now remember, this is after my 12:1 compression. So already the output of that vocal on the 12:1 compression is pretty even, but we have taken it and there are some little peaks here that are happening. And I'm wanting to place my 2A right at that level where it's not always in compression. It's only in compression if he's hitting it very hard with his vocal. So that's where I have set it here. Now, the next thing that I want to do is insert and uninsert this so I can see my gain, my makeup gain, and make sure that I'm not adding too much volume or taking away too much volume.
Rest on me, come set me free. Rob the grave in me.
And it's pretty much
won't you set me free? Rob the grave in me.
I'm gonna add just a little bit more compression.
Rest on me, come set me free. Rob the grave
Okay, so let's go ahead and listen to this without this compressor real fast. Noticing the free words.
Rest on me, come set me free. Rob the grave in me. Won't you set me free? Rob the grave in me.
Okay, and now I'm going to insert this.
Rest on me, come set me free. Rob the grave in me. Won't you set me free? Rob the grave in me.
And if we add the band in and to this, we can also hear it. So here it is without the extra compressor.
Rest on me, come set me free. Rob the grave in me. Won't you set me free?
Okay, and here it is with that extra compressor.
Rest on me, come set me free. Rob the grave in me. Won't you set me free? Rob the grave in me.
So the main difference between these two, having it inserted versus uninserted, is when it is inserted, it's taking that word free and bringing it down and kind of keeping it a little bit more even. My whole goal with a vocal is to have a very present forward vocal that isn't going to cause harm to people's ears when they're listening into a mix. And typically the loud dynamics that happen in a last chorus, especially with vocals, kind of come through the mix pretty well. And so our ears are just tuned to listen to vocals. And so if there are very large dynamics in that vocal, it is going to be a little bit distracting, which is why I'm doing some really heavy compression to make that a nice package. Now, this compressor also has this high frequency versus flat adjustment, and I want to give you guys the chance to listen to this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy my current settings over to my B here, and let's go ahead and
rest on me.
If I set this to high frequency,
rob the grave in me.
I will need to adjust the peak reduction.
Me free? Rob the grave in me. 'Cause you're still robbing me, rest on me, come set me free.
Okay, and let's go over to the setup B real fast and put this on flat.
Won't you set me free?
Which we will need to adjust the peak reduction
Rob
down.
the grave in me. 'Cause you're still robbing me, rest on me, come set me free.
So let's listen to the difference between the two. Now the high frequency is going to sound as if it's brighter. Now, it's not actually changing the tonality or the character of the compressor. It's still compressing the same type of stuff. It's just that the high frequency is de-emphasized when our adjustment here is set to high frequency.
So here's flat. Come set me free. Rob the grave in me.
Okay, and then here it is with the other setup.
Rest on me, come set me free. Rob the grave in me. Won't you set me free?
So with this vocal, I'm wanting to get all of the syllables kind of still being compressed here. So when he says set me free, you know, those words I'm still wanting to have compressed, so I'm not going to have this set on a high frequency mode here. But I just wanted to give you guys the ability to hear the difference between those two. So if I go back here and I'm going to set this back to about 50.
Come and rest on me, come set me free.
Let's get this here.
Rob the grave in me. Won't you set me free?
Okay, now here is the hot topic. 2A first, and then 76, or 76, 2A. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my 76 below our 2A. And so the 2A is going to be first. Now, what we're going to notice is that when he hits those loud words, it is going to hit that release a little bit more down. And so then that release is going to take longer to come up. So here it is.
Come and rest on me, come set me free. Rob the grave in me. Won't you set me free? Rob the grave in me. 'Cause you're still robbing. Come and rest on. But then you rose up like a lion. You beat the grave, hold the stone, let the light in. Lord, I'm praying, you do the same with me.
Praying, right there.
You do the same with me. Lord, I'm praying, you do the same. Lord, I'm praying, you do.
What I'm hearing is on prayin', in that ing portion of that word, I can hear the compressor still coming up. So the volume of that word is getting louder towards the end of the word. There's a clamp down and then it kind of comes up.
Lord, I'm praying, you do the same.
It's subtle. It's very, very fast. But the difference is, if I moved my 76 above the 2A, is that it wouldn't be there.
Lord, I'm praying, you do the same with.
It's just straight in your face.
Lord, I'm praying, you do the same with me.
Again, I'll move this after.
Lord, I'm praying, you do the same.
Praying.
Lord, I'm praying, you do the same with me.
So that's the main difference that I have heard in the past, is when I put a slower attack and slower release first, you're going to be able to hear the compression more. And I don't like that in my mixes. And this is the main reason that I always put the 2A after the 76, is I'm having the 76 being the main compression for getting all of the dynamics of that live vocal kind of in a nice package, and then I put the 2A after to help round out the vocal performance a little bit more. But I find that when I put the 2A first, then I am hearing more of the compression of that slower release time coming up. For instance, this word that's happening. So that's why I put the 76 first. But go ahead and put in the comment section down below which one is your method for compression. Do you put the 76 first and then the 2A, or the 2A first and then the 76? I'm excited to see some of those comments down there. But I hope this video was helpful for you today. If you do want to learn more about the Waves CLA-2A, I have a link down in the description below for that compressor. Also, if there's a video that you're hoping that I would make, or there are any questions that you have, put those in the comments section down below, as I'm always reading through those comments to find videos that are going to be helpful for you. If you haven't already, make sure to check out my website at drewbrashler.com. Otherwise, I hope you have a great day.